I'm just going to tell you guys before we even start the opening credits. Mephisto, I love Mephisto, but he's a fucking dick. That's all I got to say.
You're definitely allowed to say that. Def.
This is how it is. 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 Today on Pop Culture Minefield. This is how it is. Today. This is how it is. Today on Pop Culture Minefield. This is how it is. This is how it is. Today on Pop Culture Minefield. Today on Pop Culture Minefield.
Today on Pop Culture Minefield, we have Mephisto, also known as that asshole in Gary's life.
Yeah, proud.
Also known as the one who always leaves early.
Yeah. Sorry, man. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here in Israel. Gotta go to bed.
Where's my small violin? Wait a minute.
Yeah, but playing My Heart Bleeds for You.
He's an hour ahead of me, and it's already late for me doing this show from 10 to midnight or sometimes longer, so I get it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing this at 3 p.m. instead of 10. What I'm not looking forward to is doing Military Mondays at actually 10 a.m. because that was hard when I was over there.
To be perfectly fair, if somebody could organize some sort of a green card, not for me, for my wife, because she's like the top dog, I wouldn't mind living in the States and doing this in the afternoon.
I got to tell you, man, we'd love to have you here. But boy, oh boy, it's been a rough night.
First, you get me.
Rough night, yeah.
Yeah, you got the attack down in New Orleans, and then and I'm telling you, this was intentionally done this way. One of Elon's trucks was used to set up a bomb today in front of Trump Tower.
I saw that too.
I saw nothing about that. I checked actually the newspaper that I'm reading, if I'm reading newspaper, and the information that I get from there that I didn't get from you guys on Twitter is that the guy is apparently born American citizen, and used to be in the military for 10 years. So what the fuck?
The guy from New Orleans?
Yeah.
No.
Despite his name, my newspaper tells me is that he's a Texan citizen.
Stop reading European news.
Saying,
no, he gets its news from Microsoft and from CNN.
And they also say it's his truck, and they don't mention that he came from Mexico.
It was a stolen truck from Texas, and the guy has been in the country for 10 days, came across the south border, and he was a member of Oh, mighty ISIS, but not the cool one, the evil
What
one.
the fuck? I don't know what to believe anymore because they usually do their research, but the information I get from them is totally different to what
They lie.
Do you want to hear something? Do you want to hear something crazy? And that's why I hate the freaking news. Even here, here it's insane. It could be insane, especially when they are talking about something that is like far away in Europe or in Africa or in the States. Look, this is how they presented the news. Blah, blah, blah. They did say terrorist attack, which the FBI said we're not sure. Idiots. And it's like, blah, 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 10 people. 2 of them were Israelis, hurt badly. Blah, blah, blah. Stopped. And then also there was a crazy right-winger in Virginia caught with a whole bunch of explosives. And I was like, what does that have to do with the other? Nothing. And they just, in the same report, it's not like in other news. There is no in other news. There was like the continuation. Oh, by the way, there was a right-winger arrested with a whole bunch of homemade bombs in Virginia. You mean one of those crazy recluses ones that build their own bunker and prepare for Armageddon? Those crazy motherfuckers? You can't even say they're extreme right. They're just crazy. And Virginia.
Maybe they are thinking they all must know each other. Like people from Austria, they all must know each other because it's so small. I don't know.
Yeah, people from Germany and people from Austria really know each other, right?
And by the way, I do want to point out something interesting about today's show. It is one of the shows where you have someone from Austria and someone who is Jewish getting along.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are so weird.
Crazy.
We're just faking it. We're just faking. So what about the flag that he had in his truck? Is that at least true?
It's from what I understand, it was an ISIS flag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so at least
and they tried. First, they covered it, and then they pulled it off. They didn't want that to be caught on the news.
And it wasn't flown because people would recognize it. It was wrapped around a pole.
Yeah. Not even these people are stupid enough to fly their flags when they do that.
I just saw the video of him there was a CCTV that followed that truck for some reason. And he to get into Bourbon Street, he went straight and then went around the cop car because he couldn't take a right straight into the street because it was blocked. So he went around the cop car. As soon as he went around it and got a straight view of the street, it was just press on the gas and it took off.
And
then
go.
The CCTV
That's because
couldn't follow
New Orleans made a stupid decision not to use their awesomely made Neo steel hydraulic barricades to block the road.
Which is dumb. The cops were already there.
That's what it was created for, was for events like this.
Yeah, if
we
you
have them
a street...
all over Europe, and we use them for Christmas markets. I mean, Germany obviously didn't, but the market that I was working on, they've had them for a couple of years. That's the reason why I go work there. I wouldn't if it had.
Now, Tom, you use the word, we can't say it on the show, but because YouTube will punish us. But I will tell you that word is what I believe got me hit by X today.
What?
I think that word is, I didn't spam. I didn't share any more than I normally do. But in 3 of my posts, I used that word. And all of a sudden, I got hit with a spam. It looks like you're spamming.
Well, Twitter
you need to log in again to prove who you are.
Anything, so, yeah. I had that happen to me.
And by the way, I do want to wish everybody a happy new year. Despite this crappy news, hold on. Despite this crappy news, happy new year, everybody. We haven't said that to you guys yet, and that's rude. I apologize. New year.
That's true.
So let's get back on the positive track because I'm not going to let these shitheels destroy. All
right. Well, one of the most positive things we can give you is that 2025 is the year that Gary and I are getting married.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, Mazel tov. What's the other word? L'chaim? L'chaim?
L'chaim is like...
I'm saying it like a Jewish person because I grew up around Jewish people.
L'chaim is cheers, basically.
Yeah.
Cheers,
it is the Hebrew skol, right?
Yes.
Mazel tov is good luck.
Which is
Mazel,
weird to say at somebody's
Mazel,
wedding.
which means luck. Tov means good.
We use that in
Good
German, by
Um,
the way.
I will tell
Not,
you
not in
that
formal German,
we
but
do
use
these
Mazel for
films.
luck.
What?
We do these films not because they're spectacular. We do them because they need to be remembered and celebrated. Now, I'm going to point out something really important about this film, that it's directed by a person I fucking loathe. And there I did. I said an F word. I cannot stand Roman Polanski. He's such a scumbag. And as of 2016, we know even more about him because one of the things that was suppressed during the Helter Skelter court case and investigations was a film strip that was found on the property. And they made it sound like, oh, it's just home movies. And it wasn't. It was a pornographic film that Roman Polanski made where he apparently, according to what you see in the film, was forcing his wife to be with two other men. And so Roman Polanski has always been fucking weird. And then in 1977, he committed an actual crime, statutory. And he got, he was going to basically go to court and was going to get a slap on the wrist. But then the prosecutor said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to make an example of this guy because too many people in Hollywood get away with this shit. And Roman Polanski got word to his attorney and he fled the country and he has never come back since 1977, 78. And it led to a joke when I was in high school. What goes into 13 twice? Roman Polanski.
Basically, why this movie?
You feel bad that you laughed at that?
I've heard the joke before. Basically, why this movie was shot in Paris, which, to be honest, it's very expensive. Very expensive. I
Yeah, but
don't know
he
how.
wanted to work from home, quote unquote, because he just spent 2 years abroad making new movies.
What do you mean work from home? He could not work anywhere else.
Well, he said in an interview he wanted to be at his own home while working after just having been like 2 years or so abroad making movies.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And the film he did before this was called Pirates. We talked about it before on the show.
Yes.
It was just a grungy comedy.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
It is entertaining, especially for kids.
Is it the Walter Matthau Pirates?
Walter Matthau.
Okay.
Pirates.
I can't believe Matthau wasn't something bad. My dad
He
is
was,
a huge fan,
but he still
so
makes
he
it
got used to me
enjoyable.
doing-
He
Makes the crappiness enjoyable.
I mean, it's not the best movie, but I do like it. It's one of those things where when I watched it as a kid, I really loved it. Later on, as an adult, the movie really ham-fisted, but the one thing it got right was how grimy everything is as a sailor on a ship.
Yeah, because it was a filthy period of time.
Yeah,
it really
in
was
1586 or something.
Let's make a really realistic pirate comedy.
They had no way to stay clean and hygienic on a ship.
No.
Yeah, they smelled. Everybody smelled. That was a good thing. Everybody smelled equally. That's how perfume became famous. It was to help cover up their stink because bathing was not a common thing. But Clive James interview, I've seen that one before, Tom Baker. And yes, he is absolutely a scumbag. And when he made this movie, she was 19, I think, when she made the film. I have trouble pronouncing her name. French girl, Emmanuelle Seigner. The G is silent. I think it's Seigner.
Hold on, let me pull it up. I have it.
And she
on my phone.
She was 19 when they started production on this, and he was already hemming and hawing on her.
Well, the way she got the role was so weird. Emmanuelle Seigner. That's her name.
So, but in the Clive James interview, he just outright says it. He's a scumbag. So, Betty Buckley, who's more of a Broadway actress, plays Ford's wife in this. She's been in some films, and I do believe she's still alive. And I think she was the name they picked because they wanted a nobody, nobody knew, to play his wife that was pretty, but not too pretty. They wanted this to be a more believable film. The pretty girl in the film is, of course, the one that Roman Polanski had his sights on. And by the way, he's managed to stay married to her since 1989. So there's that.
That's a surprise.
Emmanuelle Seigner is crazy. She is a crazy biznatch, we'll call it.
Really?
She is crazy.
Because
I'm so not surprised.
We watched an interview where they said she auditioned privately to Polanski. So what can that mean? I mean,
you know what it means.
The other thing is he needed her to play a character that was very like the way she is in the movie, but in private she seemed to have been really nice and down to earth and sweet, and no word about her being crazy.
All right, Mephisto had something to say, sweetie.
I'm just gonna say something real quick. If you're a fan of like movies, and you want to see her as an actress, one movie I suggest, it is a very weird movie. It's called Bitter Moon.
Yeah, I've seen it on IMDb.
It is absolutely over the top weird. It's a weird movie. And another one, which is not a weird movie, I absolutely love it, but she plays just as crazy as she was in Bitter Moon, The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp.
That's also Roman Polanski.
That's also Roman. I'm not surprised.
Ninth Gate. Yeah, surprised. Evil wins. Evil wins in his Rosemary's Baby, and evil wins in The Ninth Gate.
I absolutely love that movie so much. The Ninth Gate. And
Frank Langella was so good in that film.
I wish that character that Johnny Depp plays would be in another movie, doing another book mystery kind of a thing that he does in The Ninth Gate.
As a researcher,
wish. I'm talking about the character itself. The character itself.
Yeah, I know what you meant. The character
was so unique and interesting. He's not an archaeologist. He's not a secret agent. He's not a detective, but he's a book detective, but he knows a lot, but he doesn't know all of it. And he knows how to research, and he knows the fine detail. And in The Ninth Gate, it is absolutely fantastic. The ending, like you said, it's a little bit, if you're, let's say if you're conservative or if you're God-fearing, that really doesn't sit well with you. I like that little twist at the end where sort of it tells you how eternal the struggle between God and the devil is, or how the devil kind of controls the flaws of humanity, I would say. Not necessarily being too crazy. But yeah, it kind of work. The God works in mysterious ways. Satan works in mysterious ways too. But I love that movie.
With Frantic, it's a pretty straightforward story. It's a bit, because I think Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel both pretty much agreed that it was a bit chaotic. And going into the second act and third act, it's just a bunch of shit happening. But that first act of setting up everything was really well done, in the fact that this is a husband and wife who have traveled for a medical conference where the husband is going to be one of the surgeons speaking at it. Of course, not only is this the second or the first of two films where Harrison Ford loses his wife, it is also of those two films where he plays a surgeon. Both films, he's surgeons. So I thought that was funny.
I thought about that today. I rewatched
at least in this one, he gets the wife back.
Yeah, and this one he gets her back. The other one, he just finds the killer.
She dies in his arms. She dies in his arms. Scary.
I didn't kill my wife.
He comes home to find her dying, and there's nothing he can do, and he's a doctor, so that's horrible.
Well, that's that goes back to even what we brought up about Superman. What made that so important when Pa Kent dies? That Superman can do all these things, but he can't save his dad.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of feeling. But anyway, I love Ennio Morricone's score on this. It just a great opening theme. And I put this right up there with the Untouchables.
You know what's weird about this whole opening? It's not about the music. It's the fact that it goes into these normal titles where they give you.
It looks like the end of the movie.
And then it goes into this scroll. And I was like, is this what is this? Why is this movie ending? Because it looks like it's the end.
It really does. Because it even does the scrolling.
I like that. First you see from their point of view the streets, and then it switches around and you see them in the car. I was really
so they got this guy that looks like he's from Kenya, but he could be Rastafarian, but he doesn't look Rastafarian. But he's listening to Rastafarian music, Parisian Rastafarian music.
Can I tell a story? We went to Paris last year, April. Our first driver was actually black as well. I couldn't place his accent because he was either he was born there or he was there for he had a very thick French accent when he was trying to talk in English. Very thick. So he could have been like a guy from like Mozambique or Ivory Coast or something that came over. But he seems like he belonged there, not
France had colonies in Africa. It's not weird for them to be more French than African.
He seems like he belongs there. He does.
Yeah. So anyway, the Rastafarian gets a flat tire. I mean, they just have nothing but bad luck. They're exhausted from that 12-hour flight, from New York. And they get there, they're in this taxi, and the taxi has a flat tire. So they have to get him another taxi. And that taxi is just even filthier with a dog in the front seat, just like barking. And
the funny thing is you don't get subtitles, but I understand some French. And when he's on the phone complaining about the flat tire, he says it's the second fucking time that this is happening. So he's not that good taking care of his equipment.
And the film did have subtitles for some of the scenes. It's not available because they weren't hard coded. So just your version didn't have them. Eyes Wide Shut is a Kubrick film that I thought was crap. I did not like that film. I thought it was such a waste for him to make his last movie, that movie.
I never wanted to watch that.
It's just, it's not a very good story.
The story isn't good. It's all about the stuff that is happening, who it happens to, and trying to make an expose without actually making an expose, because he doesn't actually say
he doesn't do anything. Yeah,
actually these people, but they do represent real people, real situations. And to be perfectly honest, have you read or seen the Da Vinci Code?
I read it.
Brown's work. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, okay.
I read the book. I've never seen the movie.
Okay, the whole thing about the book. In the book itself and in the movie, it's very, very briefly, they talk about the fact that the people who keep the secret, okay, the secret,
bloodline,
the Grail, they do have these pagan rituals where everybody's wearing white and black with masks, and most of the ritual is not really satanic, but it is very, very sexual because it's the joining of the man and the woman, just like the Grail is sort of, the chalice is, one is like this and one is like this. Okay. And the same imagery you see in the Da Vinci Code movie, very, very briefly, looks exactly the same as the sex parties in Eyes Wide Shut. And nobody ever made a video about it, ever, that I've seen.
That is so weird.
And by the way, in Ninth Gate, they have the same thing.
Well,
I just find it very, very odd that nobody ever discusses it.
Well, we can discuss it sometime when we have the movies on. We can do those movies. I'm going to hit play on this. Like I said, pause it. So they're finally getting into Paris, and she's waking up, and she goes, "Does it look familiar?" And he goes, "No, everything's different."
And he's not remembering.
Until they get to this street right here. He goes, "Yeah." And it's some things never changes. Downtown Paris always looks the same. It looks the same for 300 years.
It looks
and
the
this
same.
cafe that we just saw is in like every movie that's set in Paris. You see that cafe. That's apparently where the Champs-Élysées begin.
Like I want to point out too that Pizza Hut has a huge advertising in this fucking movie.
I know. I did notice.
I hope they gave some money for that because they are in this movie in several scenes.
Oh, they were desperate. They tried in Austria and they failed catastrophically. They didn't stick around long. And I went there once and it was terrible. So I'm not surprised.
I think I told you this on this show that I know Pizza Hut as a sit-down restaurant and eat your pizza with a fork and a knife.
Yes, because that's how it was a dining out thing for the family. Yeah.
But I was there in Paris, like I said, it looks exactly the same. When it's cloudy like that, when it's a little bit gray, that the architecture around certain areas looks exactly like that.
Yeah. Now, one of the important things about this film is the fact that it's very mundane in the first act. It's just them, they're getting there, looking at the itinerary, they're talking about things. He doesn't want to go do this lecture. He's kind of going, you want to go do this lecture. She's not bossing around. She's being very supportive. I don't agree with you. You do the same thing and you don't think it's bossy. You do the exact same thing. Did you go to your doctor's appointment? You need to go to that doctor's appointment. Your feet are important, Gary. Don't even start with me.
Compared it with her.
You're just blah 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 blah. That's what I say to you.
Shut up.
She's got the Princess Diana hairdo, which I love. They're right across from one of my favorite places I went to. This is the Paris Opera House.
Stop
which
laughing,
is awesome.
I'll kick you.
No, keep laughing, dude. It's awesome. So this is the Paris Opera House.
I was told before the stream started not to mess with a certain person on the stream because of a certain thing. What was I not? I told, don't fuck with me today. I was like, okay.
So as in America, we refer to that going as she's ragging today.
I said nothing.
Nothing? I know nothing?
Nothing. I said nothing.
I've always loved the Opera House. It is gorgeous.
One of the places where we had it marked, but we couldn't fit it in. We had a lot of places to go and about 4 days to do it in. So one of the places where we kind of missed, but
it is incredible inside. Just the vaulted ceilings, everything. Just it's so freaking gorgeous. And it's one of my favorite locations in the world is that building right there.
Yeah, you talk
and
about
it's right outside of their hotel room. It's right outside their window.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so privileged having grown up in Vienna where it's full of buildings like that. I grew up in the fucking Vienna State Opera backstage. Well, backstage and where the audience goes. So I'm so used to these buildings that when you guys are, especially Americans, are like, oh my God, they're so awesome. I'm like, so used to that I forget how awesome these buildings are and these architecture.
Yeah. I grew up around very square kind of structures. Like the most incredible structure when I was a kid was just a tall tower, which was very square. That's it. And the most interesting thing about it as a kid is that before it becomes like a block in the sky, it has this big terrace and it had a mini sort of theme park in it. So mini carousel, mini big wheel, mini stuff going around it. That was it.
They also have a mini Statue of Liberty there.
We
That's
haven't seen
weird.
it.
It's the original. He
Yeah.
sculpted that one and then made the one for the United States.
Oh, okay.
So here you go.
They had
This
it for an
is, I really want to get
exhibition,
into
right?
this story. I really want to get into this story. Please let me get into the fucking story. I'm tired of pausing this movie. So right now she's bossing him around, as Anima would say, or trying to be good spouse and help him. And he's supposed to do this lecture for Dr. Allenbear. And he keeps like telling her no. And then she goes to the other phone, and then he takes a note, crumples it up, and he starts to eat it, which I thought was a cute, funny scene in the film. And she keeps trying to get it from him. And then he jumps into the shower stall and shuts the door so she can't get to it. This is it. I think this is hilarious.
She is handing him a glass of water so it goes down.
He goes, well, don't choke on it. He gets him some water. But then he spits it out anyway.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to spit it out because I didn't remember it.
There's no way he was going to swallow that fucking piece of paper. That's like a plug in your throat. That's all that is.
Look at what Penny said.
It was
I already saw it. I already showed it.
It was very close to a one take. There was one take in like up against the wardrobe, and then when the camera kind of flipped into the shower, I think it was very close to a one take. That whole shower scene, very close. If I missed an edit or somewhere, I really missed it. But it kind of looks like,
well, it's very well edited. This film.
I mean, no, I mean, it kind of looks like they were having this theatrical, so theater scene within that shower, and they just kept going, whether it's ad-lib
Trying to do it in
or
one take,
lines
yeah,
or
I
whatever.
know. I get what you mean. And this film does that because you got really good actors here. You forget you're watching a movie. That's what a movie's supposed to do. If you remember that you're in a theater watching a movie, the movie has failed. And this movie doesn't do that to you. It really does capture you. And even though it does get a little chaotic, both Siskel and Ebert agree this is a great film. And it's worth remembering. And it's sad that it tanked in the theater because they shot the movie on a $20 million budget, and they only took in about 17.5 million globally. And so it flopped. And which is sad. But
Also,
at the same time,
DVD
I don't want Roman Polanski winning. I really don't like him. I hope he suffers miserably for what he's done. So, and by the way, finally, this last film, they refused
Anima because she's talking.
No, I'm still talking. I'm in one string of talking, and so I'm not going to stop. I want to finish this whole thought process out to the point that Polanski has tried to release another film, and finally, the United States didn't release it. They refused to release it. It's the first time in the history of Hollywood that they finally refused to release one of his films. And with that, I am done with my entire string of thought.
Which one did they refuse to release?
It was his last film. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking like Polanski, so I don't pay attention to his movies.
Okay.
But you were going to say something.
Yeah, what hurt this movie too was that when they finally released the DVD, it had the French audio track on it, and not the original American. So that hurt it too, probably. That must have pissed people off.
I found the film for you.
It took Roman Polanski to contact them to rectify that.
Found the film for you.
The
So I'll share it with
Palace?
you real quick. Yeah.
So super recent.
Yeah, it was
Let's see
2023.
who's on it. Fanny Ardant.
That looks
Oh,
like
of
Mickey
course.
Rourke.
I've never heard of that movie.
Oliver Masucci, Fanny
John
Ardant.
Cleese is in it?
Cleese is in it? Huh.
And Mickey
Bronwyn
Rourke is in it.
James. And yeah, because Mickey's the one up here in that image right there.
Yeah.
So they did not get an American distributor.
I
So
wonder why John Cleese was, because I don't know. He's pretty.
what do you
based,
find weird about
John
that?
Cleese. I'm not sure why he did it, because I'm pretty sure he's the British version of being anti-Hollywood kind of a thing.
Yeah.
At least look, this is 2023. So at least in the last 5 years, he's been very against, not really the woke, but against being canceled for what you say, because it's been him since forever. The fact that, you cannot
He's
say,
very
I'm not
anti-woke.
allowed to say X. And he hates it from, if it comes from like the English church or the Catholic church, and from the woke mob.
Yep.
Both sides. So he's pretty even and rational. But yeah. This is where they find out about the suitcase not actually being
this
hers.
is
It's
this is
suitcase.
where it all starts, right here. Well, it's not your suitcase. And when they got in,
aren't working.
when they get in the hotel, he calls home, calls the family, you know. And I love the scene because he's like, "What are you doing up?" And he goes, "You just woke me up, Dad." Oh, just testing.
I'm just checking.
Just testing. But he says, "Yes, somebody from Paris called from Mom. Somebody from Paris called for you." She goes, "I don't know anybody in Paris." So we've already established something's going on already. And then we find out that she has the wrong suitcase. Well, of course you can't get into it, honey. This isn't your suitcase. So you're getting all this little stuff spoon-fed to you. It's very Hitchcockian how this is done.
It's so mundane because he calls this hotline and they say, yeah, they're coming to pick it up, but then he needs to fill out forms, and it's so normal life. And even after his wife disappears, his frustration with the embassy, it's so real.
His
There's no
frustration
movie magic
from
in this.
His frustration from bureaucracy. It's the
Yeah.
police. It's the TWA. It's the embassy. Fucking what's his face?
Well,
the guy who plays Frasier's dad was in it.
Oh,
Frasier's
yeah,
dad
he's-
is nice.
I love him so much, that actor, and he was so
Same.
nonchalant in like in every scene that he's in. He seems like he's sort of a bumbling fool almost, but not.
Well, he's
really.
a bureaucrat. He's your typical
Yeah.
bureaucrat.
He
And
knows
he
isn't
says, "I'm
doing
here
real
for
work.
I'm here for new births and citizenship stuff. That's all we do." He goes, "Well, who can help me?" And he goes, "Well, maybe the head of security," which means CIA.
CIA.
When you hear, if you're at the embassy head of security, that's soft speak for CIA.
That is not the bureau. Well,
It's
it is
not the bureau.
but
It's
not that
it's not the
bureau.
embassy. It is the CIA.
Yeah.
They're the only ones doing security. Well, the physical
It's-
security is done by the U.S.
wait,
Marine
wait,
Corps.
wait. It's a cultural attaché.
Yeah, cultural attaché. There you go.
You know
And
what that
it
stands for?
absolutely is a slow burn, Tom. In
Yeah.
the fact that this film wants you to feel what he's feeling as the film goes by. That's the real thing. You're supposed to be feeling the anxiety and that sense of frantic at some point because the cops won't listen to him. Well, maybe she knew somebody already here. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about, I thought we're talking about my wife. We're not talking about your wife." Greatest fucking burn in this movie when he says that to the fucking guy. I fucking love that.
But to be fair, the French are kind of like that in
they're
most
assholes.
of the movies you see,
Absolutely.
where the first thing they think about, oh, your wife is gone. Are you sure she's not with another man? It's their culture. It's been portrayed in so many other movies. We kind of have this infidelity thing going on over here in France. Don't worry about it. It's all good. She'll come back to you. Don't worry about it.
He ends up playing into this with a young girl, with Michelle. But speaking about Frantic, in that interview that we watched, it got mentioned that Harrison Ford wasn't a fan of the title, and he suggested that Moderately Disturbed would be a better title than Polanski. And Polanski was so pissed about that.
I think that Michelle was moderately disturbed.
Oh,
But
fuck yeah.
we'll put that mildly, yeah.
I like how they end up working together, though. And the end of the movie just... did that really need to happen? You know what I mean?
And the sad thing, just to point it out, her character, Michelle, is absolutely so self-destructive. She's naive, like a child. But at the same time, she's doing grown-up stuff that's, lacks the maturity to go with it and experience. And she just, it's so frustrating to watch her character because I knew what was going to happen to her from the beginning when I met her.
It's like watching your own kid fuck up.
Do something, and they just won't listen. They just won't listen. And she's going to do what she's going to do, and it has repercussions by the end of the film. And it's sad and tragic because clearly she's a decent person because, she helps him when she doesn't have to. And more so that he even helps him when it's at detriment to her own life. And that occurs because of one scene. Because of one scene.
It's safer to her. For her.
First, that's how it starts out. But that scene when she reaches for that statue and almost falls, and he saves her, doesn't care about the statue. That was the moment. It's so clear. The director wanted you to know that is the moment when she transitions, that she's never had anybody that would worry about her before. And so she becomes more involved with what's going on with him.
That's also the scene where you see the tiny statue fall off of the roof, and in the next scene, it's still on the roof. It just irritated me, but I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I don't remember it falling off the roof. I remember it falling onto that. It fell on top of that garret over the window.
It looked to me like it fell off, and then it was there.
Which, by the way, I'm a big fan of garrets.
At the end of the day, at the end of the run of that statue, it did fall off the roof because it was either keeping it or letting Michelle fall off.
Yep, and that's it. But that's where it falls. Anima's saying it fell earlier, the first time when he dropped it. And I don't remember that. I remember it landing on.
No, when he saves her, it looked to me like it fell off the roof.
It did.
It did.
Yeah, but then
it fell off
again.
And then
it
went downstairs, but it
cut away
to them downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Harrison Ford breaks into the fucking suitcase, and the last thing you see of his wife, the last instance you see of her is right here, because she pulls it onto the floor and then drags it off camera. And that's the last time you see her in the movie.
That's
until
the other suitcase, though, the open one. Where
until she comes back in that one scene. And he's like, what, honey? I can't hear you. I'm in the shower singing whatever song he was singing. And it's the same song she was singing.
Yeah.
Well, she got a phone call and was clearly upset about something.
Yeah, she gets a phone call and then she drags it off. And she's yelling, somebody, so-and-so wants in the lobby. And he's not hearing her.
Yeah, there's no way that distance he can't hear her, but okay.
Well, with the water from the shower and everything.
No,
yeah,
I still call bullshit.
Up the dress and
I still call bullshit.
No.
And that was it right there. That is right after she dragged it off, and that was the last shot of her until the third act.
Until the exchange, yeah.
Well, the first attempt and then the exchange.
Yeah.
What struck me as weird is he doesn't think much about it because she ordered room service and he just gets the food and goes into bed and waits for her. And like, this is
now, Sandra, I'm going to chastise you right now, mister. Show up on time and you would have known we would have talked about that. But no. I mean, we went off for 20 fucking minutes about Roman Polanski. Oh, didn't Roman Polanski? Yeah, he directed this. And I don't like the guy. He's a scumbag. But I like this movie. This is one of those films where I had to separate the art from the artist. And because Harrison Ford's in it.
I actually
one of the best lines here, too. One of his best lines in this movie.
Yeah, he says, I didn't I said it before the movie too. I said one of my favorite lines in the film. I ain't just shaving for drill.
Yeah, because he goes like, "You're awfully quiet in there. You didn't fall asleep on me, did you? Because I ain't here shaving for a drill." That's when he still thinks she's just out there in her robe, but
yeah, so he doesn't know what to think here because she's not in there. You're like, where is she? Goes to the door,
she
answers
didn't leave
it,
a note.
and it's someone with the toiletries.
She left her back until the morning after. That's weird.
So it's for toiletries, or no, this is breakfast, and then toiletries comes up later because that's what wakes him up. Because he ends up sitting on the bed waiting for her, falls asleep, wakes up. It's what, 4 hours later. I think it's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
10:10. Yeah.
10 past 10, and somebody rings the bell again, and it's a porter bringing up toiletries that she had requested.
And that is when he realized that her handbag is still there. And it's weird to me that he didn't pick that up earlier because it's right there in the chair. But yeah, Chetlet.
So then he starts to get a little worried, like, where the fuck is my wife? He falls asleep.
But he's not that worried. When he goes downstairs, he's just casually looking for her. And they set it up, real nice where she knows how to speak French, but he doesn't know how to speak French. And this is the late 80s where people in France really did not speak English that much, even unless it's a big hotel. So the florist
changed that much from my experience.
No, actually, we were there. If you ask or they recognize you speak English, they do speak English with you.
Okay.
I had to go to a hotel, and the name of the hotel was in French, and I named the street it was on, or the area it was in, which was French. And the guy says, no English. And I went, the name of the hotel and street I just gave you is in French. So get me there now or no tip. And he started driving.
They hate English so much that they have to
I know, they're fucking
assholes.
And I don't mean all French people are, but Parisians.
Parisians are
in particular just the worst people I've ever run into.
But the thing is, Paris is very multicultural, and they completely understand the fact that there are tons of foreigners coming in from all around the world, and the common grounds is actually English. I've seen a group of Chinese tourists, and the guide was talking English to a French security guy outside of the Louvre. That was very, very distinctly imprinted, because it is a common ground. Like, the French definitely don't speak Chinese. But yeah, that's it. In Paris, you would get it more. Outside of Paris, you would expect to, use Google Translate. You know what? Yeah. I'll tell you this. While you keep going with this, because
I paused because I wanted to point out a joke I made in this one scene, because I said, "Oh, that guy's German."
Okay,
one with a hat, and she goes, "Would they have hats like that in Austria?" I said, "Not that fucking ugly. Only Germans wear that hat."
Let me correct you. Only Bavarians wear that hat.
Bavarians.
I've seen nicer hats in Bavaria.
No, it's a Bavarian hat.
That traditional clothing isn't that different from Austria. I mean, every valley in Austria has their own style of traditional clothing.
Pizza Hut alert.
Hündel and Lederhosen.
Pizza Hut alert.
Did you reverse it on the slideshow?
No, Martin does that. Martin does.
Okay. For copyright stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We usually have
actually what I learned is the best thing to do is tilt the video at a slight angle, and the bots don't catch it.
Matinee is just mirroring them.
I don't think the bots actually care about slideshows whatsoever. They care about actually moving.
Yeah, they do.
They will claim you. Yes, I've been claimed during a slideshow. Yes, Nick has been claimed. But anyway, Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut. Or if this was Demolition Man, Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
From what I hear,
in
they're just
Spain,
as bad.
They absolutely don't speak English there. And I love Spain, but yeah, you better know what you're fucking doing when you go to a hotel.
That's why we're using Airbnb. The Airbnb people know how to speak English. Otherwise, they will not get any customers.
Yep.
Let's not get into Airbnb.
I know people don't like Airbnb. I know.
So everybody gets involved. This is the manager of the hotel walking up to him. And eventually he brings over the house dick or the hotel detective, who's a former cop. And all of them are very nonchalant. You know,
I like the concierge.
The concierge is the only nice guy here in that hotel.
Yeah. And he's going against everything that his job requires from him. Basically, when he finds him in the fitness studio and he tells him everything he's seen, he's not supposed to talk about his job. But he's the only nice guy, yeah. And he's good looking.
I remembered this movie incorrectly because he had a lot of issues tracking down the concierge. And in my mind, because I haven't seen this movie in a long while, I kind of conflated his role, and I thought he was Day as well. So I had a double role where, like I said, my memory was a little bit weird in this, but I thought his sort of street name was Day. That's why Walker couldn't find him at the beginning. Where it's like, oh, he just did his day job, and then they call him on the phone and nobody answers. Like, oh, it's him. He's the one. He left the thing. I know it's him. And then kind of realized, oh no, that's I've totally misremembered it. But yeah, the frustration on Walker, it is really palpable. This is the first time he has to deal with these French people. Then he goes out to the street, to the florist, and they really don't understand what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, they think he was buying flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would he show them a picture of his wife when he wants to buy flowers for her? They just want to sell him stuff.
They have no clue.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut.
Don't even try.
Pizza Hut. Got to call it out every time you see it. Pizza Hut.
Okay.
It's our new game. 6 degrees of Pizza Hut.
Are you required to take a shot or something every time you see one? Because we won't make
If this were a drinking game, yeah.
Oh my God.
By the way, Dominique Pignon is in this too. And he has just a small part in it, but such a great French actor.
He's the main detective, right?
No. He is the drunkard at the bar.
Oh, that's right.
And he says, yes, I did see man pushing woman with much brutality.
Much brutality. Yeah, that's right.
There he is right there. The guy with the beard, the hippie.
Yeah.
That's him. That is Dominique Pignon. What a great fucking actor, man. He was in so many fucking movies. He's in Alien 4. He's on with the leg
the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, in the wheelchair. Just a great fucking actor. He's in Amelia or Amelie. Amelie. He's in The City of Lost Children, which is a favorite film of mine.
He's always a scruffy looking dude, not necessarily with a beard, but he's always kind of a scruffy looking character.
Nerf herder?
No, a character. He's definitely not a nerf herder here. Not with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he's the only scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yeah.
So there he is. Great fucking actor. The minute he starts clearing his throat, I immediately, because I read body language, I read he wants something.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And I'm like, well, that doesn't really have, and I'm like, what's he want? He wants something like money. And then, yeah, here's some money for cigarettes.
Did you notice that every single time Walker has to sort of pay someone. He takes out the francs, and then he's like, "I need this," and then puts it
and
back
gives
in
them
the
American
jacket
money.
and takes out the American money.
Yeah, he does it all the way through the movie.
And I was waiting for it to pay off. Never paid off. But it was certainly something that was either directed to do or Harrison Ford thought about doing.
Well, I think
don't
the
know what it
payoff
was.
is when he catches up with Michelle and has to pay the guard at the airport parking lot. He gave her the French francs there.
Okay, I guess.
That was it.
There wasn't. It was so pronounced. If you don't think about it, then you're like, it's just a throwaway thing. But it kept happening all the time, and I was like, when is this going to pay off? Like,
it's not much of a payoff, but that is the payoff.
It's not.
He gives the francs to her to pay that guy
because he knows she can't pay with American money, but the drug dealer definitely took the American money.
Yep. By the way, Anima didn't like the name Sandra. What a weird name.
It is a weird name.
Instead of Sandra, it's Sandra.
I really like the effort that he makes with trying to gather French words. I mean, the second time he's asked about her eyes and her face, he knows the French words for eyes and face and can answer without waiting for translation. He's really trying so hard to make it
and
work.
these guys are talking in French around him, and then they start laughing. And that just fucking pisses him off.
Yeah.
We are taking you seriously, monsieur. You know, normally we would make you wait a week before this, you know.
And if you know anything about the French, he is absolutely correct.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And it's portrayed really well in Taken, which is also in Paris. You're like, why aren't you moving with my daughter? It's like, we French take our time. I was like, are you insane?
That's why their solve rate
person.
Yeah, their solve rate is so low in France, specifically Paris.
Yeah. In missing,
they don't have
missing
the best
person
reputation
cases?
for crime solving.
Well, this movie shows why.
Guess how much time they would have to wait and deal with the terrorists in Entebbe. Entebbe.
Oh.
Just think about it. It's a French plane.
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever returned it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think so. They probably took it apart and used the parts.
Don't take offense. I'm an ex-cop.
So what he's saying by that, we're cynical.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Cops are cynical.
Don't worry about us.
We just assume the worst.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm not sure about this.
Oh, it's a joke. It's missing persons, though. It's a big problem because they have to wait. Their rules say they have to wait.
Yeah, like here in the U.S., someone has to be missing. An adult has to be missing 48 hours.
48,
really?
Not 24?
That's
48
what
hours.
we have here, I think.
Adult. And children's different. It's different. Instantly. That child's not where they're supposed to be instantly.
It's 48? You know that when a person is missing, typically after 72 hours, your chances of finding them is slim to none.
Yeah, you've got like 72 hours. But so they give themselves 24 hours by doing that. So, by the way, this font is one of my favorite fonts right here on the back of his shirt. That is, it's a Metro font. It's a French Metro font. And I love that font.
I love the fact that he tracks him down at this gym that he goes to. And like you said it, this guy is the most helpful guy that he had from anybody. The embassy, the cops, the hotel security. This guy was like, he translated the stuff for him. He didn't ask too many intrusive questions, and if he got like evasive answers, he kind of realized, oh, this guy's evading me, because he did ask about, ooh, why are you on this tape, and all that stuff, but he kind of, he didn't press the matter.
Well, another thing that's really good is he also offers him money, and the guy refuses. Says, no, I'm doing this because I care.
Yeah.
And that was so rare in the movie because everybody else seems to not give a shit.
Yeah, or ask something of him.
And he works at a hotel. They do everything for tips.
I actually have to go.
It's midnight for you.
Yeah, it's midnight for me, and I have to get up in about 5 hours to go to work. However, the most interesting part is coming up, is that question with the drug dealer in that blue
parrot.
Blue parrot. In that blue parrot, he's like, "Oh, you don't need Day. Don't worry, I'll hook you up. And don't worry, the white lady is safe." And I was like, "Dude, that is why don't you get his cocaine? He's talking about cocaine." And then he goes
it's pretty clear, but he's so fixated on his wife, he only thinks he's talking about his wife.
And he only realized that when the guy has the finger up his nose already. I was like, oh, shit. I'm so fucked. Anyway, guys, have a good night.
That was funny, though.
All right, brother. I'll see you later.
I actually enjoyed going back to this movie and rewatched it. I rewatched it today. Awesome. I really enjoyed myself. I really did. Harrison Ford does a really solid... I'm not going like fantastic, amazing. A really solid acting job, and he's the best actor out of.
He's good at playing average guys.
Yeah,
it's just his thing.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He's a great carpenter.
Now, I will point out that he did do training for the hand movement. He talked to surgeons and noticed something about all of them, that they're very articulate with their hands and using their hands to gesticulate. And he picked that up, and he does that throughout the movie.
I didn't even notice that. All right. Good night, Enema. Good night, Gary. Happy New Year.
See you later, brother.
And we'll see you on the next one. I hope I can be here Friday, but I don't promise anything.
Okay.
See ya.
Cross our fingers. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Bye. And now it's just the two of us. I think that's a first. That's just us doing a show.
This guy is such a fucking asshole. He's like, everybody has an emergency, sir. He goes, has everybody had their wife kidnapped? I wouldn't know, sir. Get in line. It's like, holy shit, man.
I told you before how my dad would phrase it. He would say, like if I translate it to English, he has a face like a house shoe. Step in it and feel comfortable. That's what you want to do. Put your foot in his face. Such an asshole.
And that's who does actual physical security for the U.S. embassies overseas, and that is the U.S. Marine Corps.
The Marines, okay.
They're the ones who also do physical security for the doors and such at the White House.
Why the Marines specifically?
Just one of their posts that they do.
Okay.
They used to handle all security on ships too, but that stopped in the last decade.
That makes sense for Marines, though.
There he is. Fraser's dad.
I love the guy.
I forgot his first name in the show. Oh, I can't remember.
God, I'm so bad with names, and I just watched this the first time yesterday.
No, I'm talking about the character Fraser Crane's dad.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. My phone isn't really working with me here.
Anyway, the actor's name is John Mahoney that plays him.
Oh,
Great
IMDb
actor.
sucks. He's so far down the list.
I do like that they have a huge nod to him on the new Frasier series.
Oh, he's just listed as U.S. Embassy official.
I don't think he has a name in
IMDb.
himself. At least not that I recall.
Yeah, they didn't bother to name them, I think. From going through the list, they go florist, waiter, cafe owner, security officer, embassy clerk. They didn't name a lot of these people.
Marty, that was it. Marty Crane. I knew it eventually come to me.
Oh, you mean it's Frasier's dad? It's been so long since I watched that show.
Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely.
It's not just France.
So here he goes doing more paperwork.
Yeah, fucking paperwork, just costing so much time.
So he breaks back into the suitcase. Then the bell rings and he's got to figure out what to do. So he just hands it to him broken.
Yeah, well, that's the official coming for the suitcase.
Well, it's not official. He's a bellboy, but they're taking it to the airport or they're coming to get it downstairs.
Look who's here.
Bush is here. What's up, buddy?
Hi, Bush. Thank you. You're so much faster than me finding this.
I see Shaquille O'Neal is here too.
That was Mephisto. Why would you put that name in the chat? I don't know.
Oh, he did it to fuck with me.
Probably.
Yes, he did. Did it?
I saw when you put it in there. I was like, why? What? Whatever. And another of your friends popped in to say hi.
Zach, hey, buddy. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Kyle.
Go. So I can do this shit by myself.
I know you can. I need you to. I'm half asleep.
And this is a scene from Blade Runner when he goes down on oh no, it's a disco. Never mind.
And he's so out. He's fish out of water there.
Well, that's the whole movie. French. He's in France. Doesn't speak the language. He's a fish out of water.
Yeah, but now he has to
looking for Dede, man. You looking for Dede?
Yeah. He has to get into this scene, and even when he was young, this was never his place to be. Discos and people like that and drugs.
He was a party animal. Don't you make that mistake. He was a notorious party animal. He did a lot of cocaine. Harrison Ford.
I'm not talking about Ford. I'm talking about his character here. He seems to me like the guy who always was best in school and then went straight to a top university to study medicine. I don't think his character ever partied.
He's only slept with one woman. He married her.
I don't know.
Wrong film, Bush. Wrong film.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones played just forgot his name. U.S. Marshal. Fuck, I don't remember his name. I had it on the tip of my tongue and just forgot. Gone 2 nights, man.
You'll remember. Oh, did he?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm interested in these stories.
I never asked questions like that. I knew Rutger, and I never asked those questions. I didn't care. I don't know why I didn't care.
Bush. But yeah, he was doctor in that one too, and he lost his wife.
Gerard. U.S. Marshal Gerard. Now, the funny part is when he sticks the pinky up in his nose, he doesn't sniff immediately, and some of the white powder ends up on his tie. And I don't think that was on purpose.
No, probably not. But it's fucked up because on top of having jet lag, now he has cocaine in his system. That's going to fuck with him. Jet lag alone makes you feel stupid.
Well, if you were here earlier, I did make the joke that he did 2 films involving losing a wife, and he's a surgeon in both.
That'll teach you
This
to
one,
show up late, Bush.
And then, yeah, don't be late, man. You get to hear all this awesome information.
Yeah, now you need to go back and rewatch the whole thing to get all the info we give you.
And that's her, by the way. That's Michelle. A lot of people miss that because she's wearing sunglasses and a hat. So they don't notice that that's her. So she's the one who gives him the address, and then she goes there later.
Only to find Dee Dee is dead. And has been for a while.
We know you already know it, Bush. We're joking too.
We just miss you when you're not here.
It's just, it's like you're not getting that we're joking. You think we're not getting that you're joking, but we did get it. I got it.
I'm confused now.
Nope. You're not.
I'm always confused. Look at my name.
I love these little covered walkways between the buildings.
Yeah, these cobblestone roads, I made a mistake once because I had a period in my early 20s when I used my inline skates a lot to get around. And I took them to Salzburg, where I was working for the Summer Salzburg Festival. And I tried once to get from A to B on my inline skates on cobblestone like that. Never, ever again. That hurt.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yep.
By the way, there's another actor in this movie that's not, he was big in the 70s, is David Huddleston, who plays Peter, a friend of Harrison Ford's character, that sees him in the airport when they go back to the airport to get her luggage. He was big in America in the 60s and 70s.
Have I seen him in anything?
Probably. Just, I don't know if you remember it.
There he is. That's Didi, and he's dead.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, the cat did it.
Yeah. That's the first thing Gary said when you see the cat. The cat did it.
Absolutely. The cat killed this guy, cut his throat because he hadn't cleaned his litter.
No, he hadn't fed him regularly. Because cats always think they're
starving. Yeah, but it's right next to the litter box.
Yeah, that's just the cherry on top of the cake. And you don't clean the box as you're supposed to. That's a very unhappy cat.
There's poop and pee in that box right now. That cat was pissed.
Yeah. Poop and pee in a box, and I can see the bottom of my bowl. Fix it, or I'll kill you. And he didn't.
Now, of course, as a doctor, he wouldn't be freaked out by that. Shocked, but he's not freaked out by it. And then here she comes. The one thing that I do remember about being in Europe is those timers on the lights.
I have never had timers on lights.
Well, they wanted to keep their bills low. So they have lights on a timer, and you have only so long to get to your room off the elevator.
Oh, yeah, they have that in buildings like where you have different apartments, and on the staircase, those lights have timers. Absolutely, yeah. That's what you mean. Yeah.
This is where he very smartly steals the cassette from his answering machine. Martin said he was sick of you, War Monkey, and didn't want to deal with you anymore.
He actually has family stuff going on because
he's got family stuff going on today.
So we told him not to worry because we can split his duties between the two of us. We barely cope because he does a lot, but
yeah, he goes out and then the door doesn't shut and then he lets the fucking cat out.
I mean, there's nobody there to feed her anymore anyway.
He's sick too.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Way to start the year.
No, he's not sick. He's sick of Martin.
Oh.
Because I made the joke that Martin's sick of dealing with him. Anyway, keep up, baby. I love that miniature UN behind him there. So he gets the tape read back to him. Goes up to find his room has been trashed by somebody.
I love when he takes Michelle to the room and she goes like, I thought my place looks trashy.
Yeah, I know.
Because her apartment is like a shithole that she shares with a roommate when nobody ever bothers to clean up or anything.
I'm sorry to hear that, Monkey. So you are actually sick. Yeah, that sucks.
I hope you get better soon.
So this is where he plays the tape for him.
And he translates.
She's called back. She just wants to know. And then finally, the third time she calls back, she's called back. Very angry this time.
Yeah, very. And they swear in this movie, both in English and in French. I like that because in French it sounds so elegant, but it's very dirty language actually. I find that in most languages you can tell when people are swearing, but not in French.
So we do an immediate cut. We're back outside of Dede's apartment. That was him checking his watch with a match because that light keeps turning off.
Yeah, they are on a very short timer.
At one moment, he actually looks down and sees a man and woman, and the man's like orally copulating with the woman. It's just like, oh my!
What? I didn't
God.
even. Jesus, I did.
Yeah, she was leaning back against the door, and he's just going to town on her, and he just goes back into the shadows. Like fuck.
Ew. Yikes. I think my brain has an off switch where it keeps me from seeing shit like that.
And then she shows up, comes up the stairs, and he's hiding in the shadows, which was a mistake. He should have made his presence known the minute she was going for the door.
Yeah.
Before she went in.
But he's a surgeon, not a cop. So.
And Penny sends Feel Better, War Monkey.
Is that how she finds out that he is looking for his wife? Or has she known before that?
No, she has no clue. She like, you what? You what? She was really confused by what he was saying.
Okay.
They have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, the only connection the two women have is that they accidentally exchanged suitcases. And she knows she is fucked up for delivering the wrong suitcase because they killed Dede, because he hired her to do the actual job, which the bosses don't know, because if the bosses would know that she was the one mixing up the suitcases, she would be that and not Dede. But they think he is guilty of that. So she's scared for her life now and just wants to get out of all this.
But she's afraid, especially now that Dee Dee is dead. Or Dede,
Yeah,
sorry.
I just said that.
Dede is dead, that she's next.
And now they go to her apartment for the ticket because she threw it away. One of my favorite scenes is when these police guys break into her apartment to question her, and he's breaking in at the same time and somehow manages to get into her bedroom, undress, and wake up in her bed, like be in her bed, pretending to be her lover, and she immediately plays along. That was fun.
Yeah, they're not police. They are Mossad. Israeli intelligence.
Mossad, yeah.
At first, I thought they were gangsters, but then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's something else going on here. And it's because of them that you become aware of the fact that there's something seriously at play here. It's not drugs.
I mean, it's about an ape.
And then she says, it was not drugs. She even says it. It was not drugs. It was not drugs. Well, what else would it be? Good question.
Yep. It's such a shithole of an apartment.
So one bit of intelligence I just got an alert about that in my news feed that apparently that truck was owned by somebody else that came over the border with him.
Okay.
It wasn't stolen. In that attack down in New Orleans, that just popped into my feed. So
our media claimed that it's his truck and that he's American.
Nope, it's not. They're saying it's not, that it was belonged to somebody else. Yeah,
where does the thing come from though that he was in the military for 10 years? How did they make shit like that up?
I didn't hear anything about that.
Oh, that's how she found
out. Yeah, this is where she's so confused. He's a doctor and he's talking about his wife. And she is so confused by this conversation. And I got to say, he's not very good at explaining things, his character.
No, he has not a lot of patience. He's under pressure. He wants his wife back and he keeps running into solid walls with people not understanding him or not wanting to help or both.
Yeah, here's where he grabs a chair. He's like, he's trying to explain everything. And she's, I would help you, but you would help me. I love that. Cocaina.
Yeah, in the Coke.
It looks like Coca-Cola.
Look how skinny she is. She looks like a child.
And he's a gentleman. And he shuts the door.
Yeah.
He's also a married man.
In other women.
He loves his wife, and that's all he cares about.
And he's deeply disturbed by how the people in Paris look to affairs and shit. It seems so common and normal. And he can't understand that.
He says, hey, we're talking about my wife. We're not talking about yours. I'm like, what a bird.
I like that. Is that where they talk about music? And she says she likes old songs like this one. And he's like, that's not old. And she says, it's 3 years old. It's old.
Yeah. Now, the person they're saying that owned the truck was Shamsuddin Jabbar, who is a resident of Texas. Not the person who... Police identified the driver... Or wait, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Police identified the driver as... Oh, that's the guy driving, not the owner. Okay. So, that's weird. Oh, I love all these places. What I did love was the feel and look of Paris. I loved everything about it. I love the smell. It wasn't like London. It smelled like diesel. I fucking hated that.
My brother said Paris is dirty as fuck, and he was disappointed.
It was rainy is all I remember. Like almost the whole time I was there in Paris.
Happy New Year to you, Helen.
I don't remember it being grimy. I don't remember it being grimy. I just remember.
Well, that was his impression. That was
gloomy.
20 years ago, though. Might have changed.
Yeah, he's so panicky here. This is it. Because he sees these cops coming up with the fucking dope-smelling dog. And he puts the suitcase down. He goes, these are dope-smelling dogs. They're going to get us. They're going to get us. He goes, I told you there is not dope in this. It's not dope.
This time.
It's not drugs. He's not drugs.
She's doing drugs.
There he is.
That's his old friend.
That's
he has to pretend
David
that
Huddleston.
everything is okay. His wife is at the hotel, and he just wants to get out of there and continue looking for her.
Movies he's best known for: Blazing Saddles, which you watched just recently with me. He's in that one. The Big Lebowski.
The crazy Blazing Saddles is the one with the crazy chick, right?
Yeah, he played Olson Johnson. I think he's the mayor of the town, and he was in Mel Brooks' The Producers. He was a big actor in the late 60s going into the 70s. And he was still doing shit by the 80s. Here he is in a Harrison Ford film.
How old was he when he did this?
Oh, he looks like he's about 50. We'll do the math.
The garage scene that almost goes wrong.
He was 58 years old. Yeah, she's trying to leave and he's trying to catch up to her. And she wouldn't have been able to get out anyway. She had no money.
Yeah. And this is where it gets frantic.
Well, this is where he gives her that French money that he's been holding back all this time.
Mm. And they just stuff money in their pocket, and that upsets me because I hate crumpled money.
Most people aren't OCD like you and me.
Jesus Christ.
And this is where she finds that little envelope of cocaine that he got from the Blue Parrot. And she wants to use it. And she's like, here, take the wheel. And he sees what she's doing and he throws it out.
She's rubbing it on her gums. And I didn't know you can take it like that. But
well, you're supposed to stick your nose, but that's a way of testing cocaine is on your gums.
Well, it's
you can
not
test
much
the strength
different from
of it.
getting it up your nose. You're taking
well, you can actually,
your...
you can tell the numbness is what you feel in your gums. And if you get the serious numbness in your gums, it's strong cocaine.
But it's the same kind of skin that it's in your nose. So you just get it
mucus. Mucus membranes are more like your stomach. It absorbs. Gums aren't really designed to absorb much.
Mm.
Seeing those steps, you can't tell me if it's set of a location. Yeah, I get what you meant. Because a lot of these places, I got to be honest, look like real locations the way it was shot. It doesn't feel like a set.
Moment where, not a single moment in this movie feels like a set. It all looks so real.
There is one in the car when they're driving along with the cocaine scene that felt like a projected background. Like they're in a stationary car.
By the way, this is what I mentioned when he brings her to the hotel room and she says, I thought my place was messy.
Yeah, I know.
I found that funny. And she's not in for the money anymore.
Well, he says, here's 10,000 American dollars. She takes half of it and gives the other half back to him because she's like, I stay in this with you.
Yeah, then she asked for more money because the 10,000 she took is payment, but she needs money for expenses.
And this is also where he instructs her to go back to her apartment and wait for him.
And she's so good at listening to him.
Well, he's like a father to her in many ways. That's why she's confused on how she feels about him, because he's very strong paternal. And she's mixed feelings with him. That's why she does what she does at the dance club, and he's rejecting it, going, stop that.
It's cringy what she's doing.
She's trying to get sexy with him, and he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. You're making me uncomfortable.
He probably has. I mean, we heard him on the phone.
I told you, he's got a daughter her age.
Yeah, because
his daughter is her age.
We only heard his son on the phone, because when he asked to speak to the other kid, the son says she's out. She went out, but promised to be back. So he's absolutely in daddy mode here. And he has to report the break-in, of course.
So now he didn't want to, but
it's at a hotel. No choice.
Concierge reported it. So now he's forced to deal with this. And this is where he decides to go, you know, you were right. My wife had a man here and I have a woman.
He plays along because it seems so normal there.
And he sees them as just getting in the way. But here he says, Concierge says that there was a tape. And he lies about it.
Yeah, he said it's stuff that he thought was related to his work or something. It turned out to be something different, but not important. So he doesn't have it anymore. Something like that. A lot of improvising in this. And he's actually really good at that. Except for when
he tears this suitcase apart looking for something. But then he sees that statue. And he thinks maybe it's drugs. That's why he carves on it with the knife.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's trying to find out what in this suitcase.
No, this was before Crusade.
Okay.
What?
Bush's comment.
What?
Look at Bush's comment. Why would you say that, Bush?
I do know a lot about cocaine. It was one of the most prevalent drugs of the 1980s. I've never used it. What I did in high school is I went snorted speed. I was cramming for an exam, and I needed to stay up, and a buddy of mine got me some Black Beauties. Never do that again.
Hopefully. That doesn't sound
Not
like
hopefully. I will never do that again.
Sounds like a terrible idea. We just caffeinated like crazy when we were studying.
Yeah. The order of films was Frantic, Working Girl, and then Indiana Jones.
Oh, Sander.
So there you go, Hail in Place.
Did this movie have a disclaimer? No underage girls were molested during the making of this film. He actually married her.
Yeah, that fucker married her and is still married to her, has 2 kids with her.
She's crazy enough, apparently.
No guarantee with the kids, though. I don't know.
Jesus, scary. Shut up. Back to the movie.
I love this scene. This is as Hitchcockian as you get. This scene with him trying to go across this fucking roof. It's reminiscent of so many movies. It's reminiscent of Rear Window, To Catch a Thief. My God, so many.
Oh, To Catch a Thief. I love that one. Are we going to talk about that movie, by the way?
Sometime, yeah, I'd love to. We do it on a Friday because that's the classics day.
It's classic, yeah.
What's going on here? Did this movie have a disclaimer for me? Okay, right.
Yeah,
Okay, I
that
get your
one.
joke now. I got your joke, Tom. How do you know it wasn't? Well,
This scene
we know
freaked
for a
me
fact
out.
he was like 19 when she auditioned for this
She was,
role,
yeah.
and he did a
Privately auditioned. Yeah.
privately auditioned her himself. So, yeah, this is funny. He's like trying to put his shoe in his sock, and it just starts sliding down, and then he's like fucking throws the other one down.
I mean, he finally thinks that it's probably safer to not be in fucking loafers on a roof.
It is, because you can get traction with your bare feet.
I know. He should have
Loafers.
that before.
Loafers are the worst thing to try to walk on that kind of roof.
Yeah, I agree.
Just this guy has no fucking luck. Everything bad can happen. He must be Irish.
You get so frustrated when the suitcase gets stuck and then opens and everything spills out. You're like, God damn it! And he tries to get it back, and then he starts. Oh man. And they are already in there, the Mossad people, questioning her. That's why he's having the brilliant idea to undress and slip into her bed, pretending to be her boyfriend, saving her ass that way.
And I love the nice little side tilt of the camera, acting like it's actually him moving his head to see who the other person is that's talking.
That was pretty nice.
Because
yeah.
You first see the gross looking guy there, but then you hear another man speaking, then he moves, and the camera moves the exact way his head moved. It's perfect. I just love some of the shit done in this film.
What do you mean by gross?
I do not like the director, but I cannot deny he is a great fucking director.
Well, sometimes you need to separate the art from the artist.
Well, we already talked about that. I agree.
I know.
And in order to watch this, I have to, because I find him a disgusting, repugnant human being.
But you don't want to miss out on movies like this one.
And a coward on top of that. He's a coward.
Yeah, but fuck it, this movie's great.
He never wanted to face the court over what he did in 1977. North by Northwest is another good example, Sander. And of course, it's a film that Anima hates.
I couldn't get through it. I really couldn't. I tried. It doesn't work for me. Or it didn't back then. Maybe I could try again sometime, but
yeah, this guy doesn't lose his shit until she knocks him back, and that cup of old tea that's on top of it, that armoire, falls on him, and then he's fucking angry. Because clearly you can see it's suede. That's a suede jacket he's got on. It's ruined if it gets wet.
There he is. Buck naked in her bed.
Holding a stuffed animal in front of his dick. It's so fucking funny.
And he gets knocked out and still manages to hold that thing in front of his willy. That was impressive.
Because that's right. I am American and I am crazy. And the guy just steps back and throws a front kick right in his face and knocks him completely out.
Yeah, but even passing out, he manages to hold that stuffed animal in front of his parts.
Yeah, and the scene starts out upside down. We're looking at the Statue of Liberty upside down from the window on this boat. It's the one that's in France, the original Statue of Liberty by the sculptor. Vertigo is great. We need to do that one too, because I fucking love that Jimmy Stewart film.
Okay. Yeah, and he's dressed in a very weird environment. It takes you a while to figure out he's on a boat. How did he get there? How long was he out?
Yeah, he's on the Seine River in one of those river boats. River houseboats, I'm sorry.
I want one of those.
I would too. But man, the way they're designed, the upkeep on those would be a bitch.
Oh, yeah. Humidity is big.
Because that entire set where they're playing their drums and instruments, that's technically right under the water line. The water starts right about where that short guy's shoulders are.
Probably halfway between the window and the floor would be the waterline.
He's fixing the buttons because they put his shirt on wrong. And he hits his head. It's the second time he hits his head in this scene. He hits it when he gets up and he hits it turning around to walk out.
Roads like that are places for tiny people like me. Gary would lose his head trying to move around on a boat like that. Not made for big people. I don't know how tall Harrison Ford is, but he's
6'2".
Oh, so almost as tall as you.
He's like an inch shorter than me.
Mm-hmm.
People, young kids look at that. What is that? What is that? What did he just grab?
I saw a video on YouTube where they put stuff like that in front of teenagers. That was 10 years ago. And they were helpless. They couldn't figure out how to work it, but it was fun as fuck watching.
Can opener. Yeah, the can opener. Give them a hand crank can opener. They don't know what to do with it.
What I remember was the landline phone. A floppy disk. They had no idea what that was. And one said, "Oh, you 3D printed the safe symbol." It cracked me up.
Yeah, and by the way, I agree with you on Bernard Herrmann, Sander. One of the greatest composers in the history of Hollywood.
I forgot what's going on here in this scene.
That he's talking to the kidnapper, so they got to go back and get that statue.
Oh, this is where she almost
smiles.
The roof.
I got it, and then she loses her footing, and he grabs her, not worrying about the statue. And that's the moment right there in the film where she is completely sold on him as a person.
Yeah, also the statue breaks and they see what it actually is. Now they know why they want the statue. Yeah, in the third act, it really gets frantic.
Hence the name. It's from this point forward he becomes frantic, because this is where everything goes south on him, because he's finally got what they want. He's got a chance to get his wife back. And she says merde, which means good luck. It means shit is what it means. Merde.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
She's selling it to him that it means good luck in French.
But when you cut back, this is something a lot of people miss. That when she right before she steps out, he turns and yells for her, Michelle. And right before she steps out, you see the door open and then close real quickly. Yeah. And you see the light on the ground from the light coming from behind the door. And I was just like, oh shit, what's going on? Did she just leave him? And then she steps out and it's like, well, why did that door open and close? Was it an accident? Something that just got caught on camera? No, that's where the Mossad are.
Yep.
The Israeli agents. Because what you're dealing with here isn't drugs. It is a switch, a trigger switch for a nuclear weapon. Yeah, for a nuclear weapon.
And I think they say nuclear in the movie. But that's a pet peeve of mine.
And if you don't catch it, he gets shot here. The Mossad agent. Everything happens so fucking... He's holding his arm. You see him there holding his arm.
Oh, he gets hit, yeah.
But he killed that other guy in the other car, and that's the one that they take. He drives it from the passenger seat with the dead guy still behind the wheel.
The fucked up thing is that once they stop, he does a very shitty attempt of CPR on the guy after driving that car around with him for minutes. What's the point?
Yeah, he thumps his chest and then blood comes out of his mouth, and that's just a sign that there's no point to you doing that anymore. But I do like it. The back window gets shot out and she sits up and flips him the Italian bird of yours. This is a great scene. This is about the most action. This is the most action you see in the film is right here. He's in the passenger seat driving the car with his foot over there in the wheel well. I mean, in the pedal well. trying to go
try
down.
this, kids. Not safe.
Yeah, don't do this at home.
Yeah. And the guy is so dead. She's holding up his head all the time.
And by the way, he's the actual stuntman driving the car.
Okay. The way how they added comedy to this movie is just hilarious. Comedic moment.
Yeah, some of the stuff that's not even intended to be funny is funny because of you've been there, you've seen that, that's happened to you, and it's funny because of that. This is funny to me because they ask him like, "What's the number where you're at?" And he goes, "I'm on a payphone in a restaurant. I don't fucking know."
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
But he's losing his shit because he just came so close to getting his wife back, and everything just blew up. So he's close to losing his mind.
It's like, I don't know who those guys are, but they're after Electric Gizmo too. Came in the Peugeot. The guy in the Peugeot was with them, the kidnappers. I'm not sure what you mean by them. And he's like, someone other than me, motherfucker.
Yeah,
them.
Like, I'm doing all the work here. When are you going to come in and do your job?
Right?
How am I the only one doing shit?
And this leads to a great scene because they're in this bistro, okay? And all of a sudden the CIA guys, the embassy guy and the CIA guy come in and they're like, do you have? And he's like, you don't get anything. Yeah, I'm not a fucking idiot. This fucking movie.
That scene
and
was
now he's looking at himself.
Though, because but
look how different he looks.
Blood off his hands and
hold on. Oh, God damn it. What's important here? I had to go back because I didn't stop on that. I was trying to explain about him in the mirror. The mirror is him seeing himself now as so different from what he looked 24 hours before. Because you see him stand up and look in that fucking mirror, that reflection, and it's a completely different man. And he knows it. He sees it. This is a man desperate to get his wife back. And Desperation probably would have been a better title for this film.
Yeah, that would work.
She stole his wallet. I forgot about that. Yeah. Look at that. Only has 20 francs. Some shit like that. Who goes around with 20 francs in their wallet? Very bad guys. And so he goes, he sees who he is, what his nationality is, and she starts just chomping on a fucking baguette. Now I'm going to tell you something. There is nothing more attractive to me than a woman that's not afraid to eat in front of me. I like that Anima eats in front of me now. I like that.
Took me a while.
Well, you felt pretty comfortable the first time you did it. And it was like, because I eat in front of you. I'm not embarrassed.
The first
there
time
he is.
I did it, that was in summer, and I was eating a melon, and I just forgot to go off camera. And until you mentioned it, I wasn't even aware I was doing it.
Yeah, you just not even noticed that you were doing it. Now that's even better. So anyway, we have the embassy employee and the fucking CIA spook together. It's like, do you have it? Is it there? Yeah, because we don't want that to end up in the wrong hands. And he's like, it's not going to end up in anybody's hands. And then they try to fight him for it, and it ends up on the floor, and they're trying to find it. They're all three on the floor, and then she pulls out fucking pepper spray and sprays all three of them.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But miraculously grabs his fucking hand to save him.
See shit, so she eats it.
Yeah, he's blind. It leads to a comical scene as they're going out. He runs around a table, but he runs right into it and just fucking wipes the table out. It's funny as hell.
I think she didn't mean to spray him too. He was just collateral damage because
just there. Collateral damage, yeah.
She didn't look. She was just spraying under there. And she's giving him eye drops later.
Oh, collard greens. Yeah. Black-eyed peas, collard greens, and ham with cornbread. And Penny, I prefer Virginia-style cornbread that's sweet. Good stuff. That's what collard greens. Look them up. Collard, not leave out the S. It's just collard greens. Look them up. If you got them near you, Helen Place, I recommend you try them. Decide if you fucking love them or you fucking hate them. There's no in between. It's one of those things that you either really fucking love or you fucking hate it.
Like Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, see, I love Brussels sprouts.
They need to be done correctly to be good.
I do not like collard greens. This is great. She had to get some eye drops for him.
She feels bad that she did that. And we're back on the boat again.
Yeah, and that moment's really great too for other reasons. We need to do Escape from New York again sometime because I'd like to do that film again. Because they repeat it in Escape from LA. Because all LA is a remake of Escape from New York because all the scenes happen exactly in the same order. And they include the chair scene where he sits down, and that's that moment where he gives up. He's given up. He has done everything he can do. He says, I may as well just sit down and see what happens. And that's what happens.
There are just two differences. New York is better and LA has the better theme.
Well, LA has the better theme, but where it went wrong is in the special effects and some of the weird shit, like giving what's her name a man voice, which just sounded weird. It was just weird. And the flying at the end was so goofy on the gliders, just dumb. Gliders don't work like that. Oh, I get so aggravated with that fucking movie. Has the best theme. It took the Escape from New York theme and made it a rock theme. They had real drums and real guitar, and it was badass. Same composer worked with him. But they went from doing a digital synth theme to more of a rock theme with guitar and bass and drums.
Oh,
this
we
scene
have the
is
cringy
so
dancing coming up here.
Well, this is where he runs into more fucking people.
Yeah.
That
They're
know
all
him.
there for the conference.
And like the odds of that happening are 1,000,000,000 to 1, but Jesus, he's fucking Irish because everything bad that can happen happens to this guy. So he keeps running into people that know him at the airport and now at this club. And I can't remember.
Right,
was that Alan Bear? Wasn't that Alan Bear?
I don't know.
I think that was Dr. Alan Bear, the one he's been trying to connect with. Yeah. And then he reaches over and spills their fucking champagne. He's frantic. He really is. And she comes over, grabs him for a dance. They go out on a dance floor. She's saving him from them, is what she's doing.
Oh, yeah. He just goes with her to get out of that situation.
Yep. And then she starts doing this slinky going to the ground and back up thing. And I've had a girl do that to me, and I didn't like it.
It's cringy as fuck.
It led to me saying that famous line. You remember what I said?
Dance.
I'm sorry. I'm a drummer, and drummers don't dance.
Yep.
And I just walked up. Well, before I did, he's like, what? Didn't hear me over the music. And that great fucking line I said. She didn't hear it. And I finally leaned into her ear and I said, that's not dancing. That's masturbation to music. Not that you don't look great doing it.
Oh, God.
And then I backed away from I've told you that before. It was a fucked up night.
It doesn't get less fucked up when I hear it again.
That's exactly what they are. They're leafy greens that are cooked. They're not quite like spinach. They got a better consistency than spinach when it's cooked.
Like kale?
There you go, kale. Collard greens are a lot like kale, except for collard greens actually taste better. I hate kale. I hate it. It's so gross tasting. I can't stand it on my tongue. It's like, I'm like spitting it out. So she's like trying to get slinky with him, and he keeps grabbing her, trying to just dance with her. And Finally, he looks over and he sees the guy that's been watching him the whole time. And then he makes eye contact with him and they start walking over there, and it's the bad guys.
I was so glad when he finally had a reason to get out of that situation, because him and her on the dance floor, hard to watch. He's so clumsy.
Yeah, it's more likely you were followed. I like the way he puts it back on him. Yeah, you'll hear from me. I'll tell you where we're going to meet next. And he chooses the Statue of Liberty on the Seine River.
Makes sense.
Which is where that boat is, right there, that long houseboat. I really probably would like to own one of those. What's his name? Duncan MacLeod lived in one in the first season, 2 seasons of Highlander on TV. I've never had chard.
I really like it. And when I was living in Croatia, they mix it with potatoes. And it's a very popular side dish.
So if you can hide it in potatoes, I'll eat it.
No, it's really good. It's the number one
There it
side
is.
dish that you have with fish there.
That's the original Statue of Liberty.
I am going to find out Hidden Place. If not, I'll try to grow it myself.
I can look it up in a second as soon as I'm finished pouring my drink.
Oh, don't worry.
He leaves her there, and she gets so angry at him for leaving her.
Did they make the Statue of Liberty for the same exhibition that they made the Eiffel Tower for?
I don't know. It was in the 1800s, so I don't think so. Because the Eiffel was in the 20th century, wasn't it?
I just know it was made for an exhibition and meant
it was for the World's Fair, so it may very well have been. You might be right.
They had more than one, but I know that the Eiffel Tower ended up there as a temporary thing, and then they kept it because it looked so nice. And now it's like the sign of Paris.
Yeah, before that it was the Arc de Triomphe.
Well, that still is one of the number one landmarks too. You have more than one in cities like that, you know? You've Notre Dame too.
Well, I love in Team America, the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe and the Louvre are all like right next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because Americans are terrible with where things are.
They are. They don't care.
Okay, chard, also known as Swiss chard, is a green leafy vegetable belonging to the species of Beta vulgaris. It is part of the cichlid group and Stop using fucking weird words. Chard is highly nutritious and has been used in cooking for centuries. The leaves can be green to reddish, and the stalks usually white, yellow, or red. Chard is known for its ornamental value and can be grown in gardens, containers, or as an edible ornamental plant. And I looked at it, and yes, you know what it reminds me of? Looking at it, it looks like romaine lettuce, or even rhubarb.
Nothing like lettuce. No, nothing like
no,
lettuce.
It looks like romaine. It really looks like it. I'm looking at this photo.
Other than rhubarb, you cut out the stems, because when they are too big, there's no way you can cook them so they're pleasant to eat. So actually, you cut out the white parts unless they're thin, and you just.
So the photo I'm looking at, the stem is red, and I swear to God, I'm just going to open image.
It's way more common in white. At least where I'm living.
The leaf looks like romaine lettuce. Present, share screen. Can you pause the movie?
I did.
There we go. Can you share that to the screen? Because I'm in the other screen now.
Sure.
The stems look like rhubarb, but those leaves look like
rhubarb.
The rhubarb down below, but that looks like romaine lettuce leaves. And that's chard, according to the page I went to. So there you go. Back to the movie. Because this is it. This is the final scene. Give me my money or I'll throw it in the river.
And you already have a bad feeling about her getting out of this situation.
Yeah, this is just because she's doing the thing she shouldn't be doing, is demanding money and putting herself between the thing they want. And here comes Israeli Mossad.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's shooting, bullets going everywhere, and it leads to them running for an escape. And the one guy gets shot on the way, and
So does she.
She gets, not yet, she gets grabbed by the main bad guy and uses her as a shield. And then Walker comes up there and tackles him. They get into a fight, and he tells her, run. And she won't run. She sees him holding the gun, and she reaches down and grabs it and bites that fucking hand that has the gun. I mean,
yeah, that was brilliant. She's street smart.
Then they shoot him.
She knows how to fight for herself.
And she gets hit by a stray fucking bullet. She gets hit.
And she doesn't realize it at first. She notices something is wrong, but it hurts.
She's just suddenly weak. And she's stumbling, grabbing the item. And she says, I want my money. I want my money. And she fucking collapses in I forget her name. Mrs. Walker. Her arms. And then she says, I'm so cold, Walker. Yeah.
Well, his wife tries to help her, and then she realizes there's blood on her hand, and she shows Walker. And he takes one look, and then he pulls down her jacket. So it's a gut shot. There's nothing he can do. And then she says that she's cold. He keeps telling her she'll be fine, and then she dies. And I'm like, did you need...
You lie. You lie. And she has the Jesus eye death, famous eyes looking up, which you don't do that when you die. When you die, your eyes actually relax and go into the internal focus position, and then they open wide open. It's awful. So they come down there. Is this what you want? Throws it into the river, and they're like, either way is good for us. Nobody will ever find it out there. Nuclear switch.
Yeah, they originally had him throw it into a dump truck, but then they switched it to him throwing it into the river.
But it made more sense in the river.
Yeah.
Dump truck they could find.
Yep. They still show the dump truck in the end, though, because he's stuck behind it again.
Yeah, it's like we end where we began.
Nothing has changed, except everything has changed. But the dump truck is the same. But they have each other back. That's nice.
It is not like a great movie. It would not be on my top 50 list.
No.
But it is in my top 100 list.
It's fun to watch. It's a good watch. I enjoyed that.
And that's kind of what these shows are that we do here, is pretty much films that are on my top 100 list. I figured that'll give us a few years of fucking movies to talk about.
Yeah.
And somebody go, well, what about that film? And I'm like, that movie's not on my top 100 list. But you know what? If it's a good film, I'll acquiesce, especially on Military Monday.
You know what? I'm petty enough that I want to sign a petition that we do your top 200, just so you have to stay alive longer for us to get through it.
Oh, yeah.
I can be a shithead and do that.
200 shows. Then I can die.
No, you're not allowed. I'll find another reason then. Once we
now, another film I really like is the film that he did right after this one. I like Working Girl. It's a good movie. I like that song, Let the River Flow. I don't know if you know that song.
I do.
It's got, what's her name? Carly Simon sang it. Yeah, I got to be honest, Tom. I think that he snapped after that. I think that that's part of the reason why he got worse. I think that's really why.
That would make a Seigner snap.
It's hard to walk away from that normal, and he wasn't normal to begin with. So I just think he got worse.
Yeah.
But we did Chinatown already, which I love that fucking movie. It's in my top 20.
I can't believe it took us so long to actually do a show after watching it for the first time, because that was when I was still in Croatia, and we've been talking about doing a show ever since. It took us a year and a half. I wouldn't mind doing that one again, by the way.
I'm gonna have to try it. I've never tried it. As long as it's better than kale.
I only know it either cooked like spinach or with the potatoes that the Croatians do.
So you can put pretty much anything in a potato, and I'll eat it, because it's like, if you want me to eat something gross, put it in spaghetti sauce or a potato, and I'll fucking eat it.
Good to know. You like it.
That's how I used to get Zoe to eat her vegetables. When I made spaghetti for her, I would put vegetables in it, and she would eat her fucking vegetables when I make spaghetti.
I'll make blitva for you once. That's what the Croatians call it, blitva.
It can be treated as two separate vegetables, the leafy part and the crunchy. Yeah, paddle. Okay.
There you go, blitva. It's always cooked along with potatoes and onions.
And it says here with fish.
Yeah, that's what I said. Meat, you eat with French fries. Fish, you eat with blitva. And because the Croatians are Southern Europeans, they usually have one meat platter with fries and one fish platter with blitva in the middle of the table, and everybody just takes whatever they want. It's a very social thing. You don't order your food on your separate plate. It's not very typical there.
Now, I am going to say that there is one film of Dominique Pignon's that I would like to watch and cover on one of our shows. Probably Wednesday would be a good day to do it. Is The City of Lost Children, because I saw that movie and I absolutely loved it. And it's Ron Perlman, when he was young, is in it. Back before we knew he was a fucking douche nozzle. The director, of course, is what's his name? Oh my god, I just forgot his name. Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and he directed that film, and it's a children's fantasy, and yet it's written so maturely, and it's rated R. And I am very fond of this fantasy story. I just thought it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. And but then again, that was when I was working for the magazine, and I was prone to being pretentious every once in a while. So that if I watch it now, I might
imagine that.
Man, I was really pretentious when I was a critic for a magazine.
Well, some things just don't age well, so that might change your perspective on them too.
Distilled potatoes, also known as potatoes that aren't moving. Or are moving. Yeah, they've been distilled, so they're moving. Moving potatoes.
Well, they make your head spin when you drink them.
Now, you want to know a pie that I haven't had for a long time, because we brought up rhubarb. It's rhubarb pie. I haven't had that since I was a kid. I loved it when my grandma would make. Rhubarb can make, it's really good when you do it right. My grandma, God, I miss that woman. She could cook the shit out of anything and make it good. I mean, I would eat chicken livers later as an adult, and if they're not done right, they don't taste right to me. They have to be fried in a skillet, an iron skillet, to be like what my grandma made. And my grandma would make those chicken livers, never gizzard. She didn't make gizzard. She made livers. And oh my God, that's so good. And, but she would make rhubarb jam and rhubarb pie. And she grew all of the stuff she made, cherries. She had an orchard of 6 cherry trees in the backyard.
Wow,
and all us kids would go out there in ladders and pick the cherries for her. I mean, it was fun, man.
We had one cherry tree where I grew up. We had to cut it down a couple of years ago because it was old and sick and threatening to fall on the house. So it was sad though.
Me pretentious? No.
No fucking way.
I'm very non-pretentious in most ways, but I will go through these periods because, I actually was educated in film, and I will start talking about film, and I'll be sitting with another cinephile and they're talking. And then I went, my God, this person is pretentious. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm keeping up with them. That means I'm pretentious too. Because we'll start dissecting the meaning of films. When you start getting into the thematic meanings of film, you're starting to borderline into pretentious territory. But it's important as a writer, and this is true, you have to understand themes, not music themes, but story themes. You've got to understand themes. You have to understand, is it man versus man? Is it man versus self? Man versus nature? All these themes, and you have to learn them. You also have to understand irony. There has to be irony. If you want to be a good storyteller, you better have a good fundamental understanding of irony. And the best way I learned to describe an irony is by telling a joke. And you have the start of the joke, the buildup, the turn. Just like with magic tricks, you have the turn, and the turn is where you flip the narrative on its head, where you think it's about this thing, but it's actually that. And with a good joke, you lead the person to think it's going to one spot, and then you go to this other location, and it flips them off. Like one of my favorite jokes was
flips them off.
This guy gets stuck on a desert island, and he's out there for like the longest time. And he looks out one day and he sees this ship right along the horizon. He starts a fire, and it stops. And then after about 20 minutes, he sees a small motor dinghy flying its way towards him on the water. And it's a woman, and she's in a scuba suit, trying to stay warm. And she gets there on the shore, and he says, oh my God, I haven't seen a human being in like months. It's so wonderful to see you. You are so beautiful. She goes, yes, well, thank you. She goes, is there anything that I can get you that you might need? He goes, oh my God, I could really go for a dry martini. She reaches into her scuba suit and pulls out a shaker, some vermouth, and I forget what the other thing is in a martini. It's vermouth and I forget the other one. What is the other part of the martini?
I was never into cocktails. I don't know.
So she shakes it up for him.
I don't know.
Shaken, not stirred. Shakes him up a martini. She goes, is there anything else that I can get you? And he's so impressed because she has an olive and the fucking toothpick too. And he's like, well, I could really go for like a chicken salad sandwich right now. So she reaches in and pulls out the fixings and makes a chicken salad sandwich. He goes, you're kidding me. And finally he says, man, I haven't played golf in a while. And he says, well, there are other things. Would you like to go around? And he says, really? You've got golf clubs in there too? And that was just it. You get led into a different direction. He thinks she wants to play golf, and it's actually she meant sex.
Oh.
Gin. Thank you. Gin and vermouth.
I like that one.
Oh my God, Baronette, that's awful. I wish Mephisto was here.
Joke, yeah, I dare you to tell that joke when Mephisto is here.
Oh, do tell that joke when he's there, because he'll probably be the first one to laugh. He admitted it. He says some of the worst Jewish jokes he ever heard were told by Jewish people. That's just awful. I said, yeah, my brother used to tell me the worst jokes. Awful. So anyway, we should do that movie sometime, City of Lost Children. Frantic, look, it's an okay film. It's a very good film. I have trouble saying it's great, but it's borderline great. I think that if he had another run at the writing, it would have been a great film. But there's so many things that go nowhere. Even Mephisto brought that up.
The money thing, yeah.
And I told him, I said, actually, the money thing does go somewhere, but it's so out of hand that you don't even notice it, that he hands her the French money. to pay the guard. That was it. That was the payoff for all the times of not using the French money. So, but that's it. So we've talked about it as much as I want to. It was directed by Roman Polanski, written by Gerard Brock and Roman Polanski. Uncredited also screenwriting on here is Robert Towne, who wrote Chinatown, created the character of Jake Giddies. And a guy I don't know.
That they brought in?
I'm assuming so because he's not credited.
Yeah.
So that usually tells me that he was the script doctor that went in to fix some stuff. And the other guy that was brought in was Jeff Gross. He's another American writer. And he's never really done anything big except for Bitter Moon and Frantic. Those are the only two things I know of that he worked on. So, but it's a good film. Let me look at something real quick before we go. I really should look at some trivia to see if there's any trivia that I should consider discussing. So let's scroll to the bottom of the page. Somebody just messaged me. Was it you?
Nope. I messaged you in the private chat. I know better than to contact you on social media while you do shows.
Harrison Ford considered the title Frantic was misleading to what the film is, and I don't agree with him. There's a sense of him being frantic towards the end, and he joked that it should, or suggested it be called Moderately Disturbed.
I mentioned
that's
that,
funny.
Yeah.
And Roman was not amused. Due to studio pressure, 15 minutes were trimmed from the original running time, and a new ending was shot. Interview on 2nd of August of 2015 in Paris before an outdoor screening of Frantic of 88. Actress Emmanuelle, how's it pronounced again? Seigner said she didn't know who star Harrison Ford was at the time that the film was shot. Seigner said that she was only 19 years old, like I said, and from a theater family, so she didn't know American movies. So Polanski and actress Seigner, after working in a film, were married 1 year later. Guarantee you they were banging from before they even started shooting this film, because that's what he wanted.
Private audition, hello.
Private audition, yeah, come on. Director Polanski returned to the Parisian city thriller milieu with his movie around 12 years after his earlier Paris set thriller, The Tenant, 1976, which is a really disturbing movie. It's a horror film, psychological horror film. The pop song that Ford and Seigner danced to is based on the composition by Astor Piazzolla called Libertango. Not that I give a shit. At the 2003 Oscars, it was Harrison Ford who announced the Best Director category, and eventually it was won by Polanski, and Evid visited Polanski to deliver the award. You know, and that really knocks him down again a peg for me, Harrison Ford, because he's already on my shit list for so many other things. The film is often, because he cheated on all his fucking wives. The film has often been likened to the work of British thriller auteur Alfred Hitchcock, which it is. It's very Hitchcockian. So that's enough trivia. I think we're good. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Hold on, what is this? 2 women made chicken soup out of the other ones. The sick one get well. What?
It's a fucked up joke.
That's like, I gotta really
She killed the healthy chicken to make soup for the sick chicken. It makes no sense.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Typical parrot head, I would say.
Yeah.
She posts weird shit.
Thanks, Parrot Head.
Yeah, thanks.
Tom Baker was here. Penny, of course. Andy Morrow. Sander Hammerschlag. Shaquille O'Neal was not here, despite Mephisto writing that. Boosh McFadden, of course, was here. Zach's my good buddy. War Monkey was here. I got to mess with War Monkey. It was fun. Hell in Place was here. Parrot Head. Thank you all for coming today. That's pretty much it. I hope you had as good a time as we did. I enjoy doing this show. I only do this because it's fun. So there you go.
It is.
That's
fun.
it. See y'all later. Thanks. Come back now.
Bye, guys.
That's all, folks.